Salvete discipuli. Today we're going to be talking about appositives. And so what I'd like you to do is start a new page in your notes, title it Appositives, and then copy down this sentence. You can pause the video if you need some more time to do that, but I'm going to continue talking for the sake of the video. Okay, so you'll notice that the sentence, the blue part, the Son of God, is separated from the rest of the sentence by commas. It's kind of commaed off. That's because the Son of God really is just serving as additional information, and it's serving as additional information to describe Christ a little bit more. So we're going to say that the Son of God is in apposition to Christ. And so that's how we're going to talk about appositives. We're going to talk about the appositive part being in apposition to some other word in some part of the rest of the sentence. Usually it's the part right before it, but not always. So we're starting simple. So the Son of God is in apposition to Christ. And if I read the sentence with just the black parts, Christ is the King of Kings, that's pretty much the same sentence, right? It's got the same essence. It's just that it lacks that extra little bit of information. So what I would like you to do is come up with some other appositives, some sentences in English, nothing fancy, we're not doing this in Latin yet, but just come up with some other sentences that contain appositives. You can pause the video while you do that if you're watching this at home. And if you're doing this lesson in class, I'm going to actually have you do it. And we're going to actually spend a few minutes talking about it. Okay? Right now that we've talked about appositives, or that you've thought of an appositive of your own, I'm going to have you think about something else as well right away. This one, we're going to get the wheels turning on this one. So the question is, knowing what you already know about the various cases and when to use those cases. So we already know the nominative. It's for the subject of the sentence, the thing doing the verb, or the person doing the verb, or the people doing the verb. We know the genitive is for ownership, right? So the book of Lydia, or you could say Lydia, apostrophe S, Lydia's book. So we use the genitive to express ownership, either with apostrophes or with of. We know the nominative, the genitive. What's next? Dative. First three letters of dative is DAT, dot, and dot means give. And so we use the dative case to talk about giving things to people, right? So the dative tells us for whom something is, right? When we say something to a person, that to a person is going to be in the dative. If we have a gift and it's for somebody, well, that somebody, we're going to put that somebody in the dative case. Right? So we know nominative, genitive, dative. Accusative is for the direct object of a sentence. The accusative is for the thing being verbed. Okay? And then the ablative, there's a lot of different uses for it, right? So there's with, by means of, from a place. We'd put the place in the ablative. So the ablative has lots of different uses. So knowing what you already know about all those cases and their uses, knowing all of that, what do you suppose the rule will be about using appositives? So in other words, if we were to translate this sentence, well, Christus, we know, Christ is the subject of the sentence. Christ is the person doing the ising, right? The being. So we want to put Christ in the nominative, Christus. Est. Okay, Christ is the king. Oh, if Christ is the king, well, then we want king to be in the nominative too. So that's rex. King in the nominative is rex. And then of kings. All right, so we need the genitive plural, rex regum. So in other words, the question we're trying to figure out here, what case should be used for appositives and why? So the son, well, son is Phili something. So what ending should go on the son? And then of God would be Dei. So it's basically asking, what is the rule for appositives? What case should appositives be in? Or are they always in the same case? So pause the video, get thinking about that, and see if you can come up with not just a guess, but an educated guess, a guess with a reason. I think the answer is this because if you're just taking a shot in the dark, if you're just throwing out a guess, chances are you're not going to be right. But if you can come up with an answer that also has a reason behind it, then chances are you might be right. So go ahead and pause the video while you think about that. All right, now that you're back, I'm going to give you the rule. The rule is an appositive agrees with its noun in number and case. An appositive agrees with its noun in number and case. Please write that down. All right, so the appositive here, the word is son, and son agrees with its noun. Well, what's its noun? Its noun is the noun that it's giving more information about. So its noun is Christ. So it agrees with Christ. This word son needs to agree with Christ in number and case. So what case is Christus in? Christus is in the nominative. So Filii, so this Filii, this son needs to be in the nominative too. And what's the number of Christus? It's singular, right? Remember, number just means singular or plural. That's all number means in grammar. And so we need son to be singular and nominative as well. So that would be Filius. So this is how we say Christ, the Son of God, is the King of Kings. Christus, Filius Dei, est rex regum. Now, what this rule doesn't mean is it doesn't mean that the two words always need to have the same ending. You're going to see some examples in these next three sentences. You're going to see an example of one where the two words have different endings, and we'll see why that is. You'll also see some examples where the two words are not both nominative. Up here, they happen to be both nominative. Christus and Filius were both nominative. But an appositive can really be any of the cases. They just have to. It just has to match the word that it's in apposition to. Okay, so we're going to see some examples here. Let's uncover example number one. Actually, we just did example number one. Really, Christus Filius Dei est rex regum et Dominus Dominorum. So actually, that was example number one. It's just adding et Dominus Dominorum and the Lord of Lords. So let's actually skip right ahead to example number two. Video Marcum filium nautai. So this sentence means video, I see, and then Marcum, so I see Marcus. Now, Marcus is the name, but why is Marcum in the accusative? Because I see Marcus. So I actually have to take Marcus's name and put it in the accusative. Video Marcum filium nautai. Filium nautai. So video Marcum means I see Marcus, but video filium means I see the Son. So why would I see Marcus and I see the Son? Well, that's because Marcus and the Son are the same person, right? So filium nautai is the part that's the appositive part. And so here's an example where I see Marcus, By the way, Marcus is the son of the sailor. So videum Marcum, filium nautai. So here the appositive agrees with its noun. Its noun is Marcus. In case, right? They're both accusative and number. They're both singular. And then, of course, nautai can be whatever case it needs to be in. Of the sailor, that obviously needs to be genitive. Okay? So up here, Christus and Filius have the exact same ending. They're both nominative and they both have the same ending. Down here, Marcum et Filium have the same ending. They're not nominative in this example, they're both accusative in this example. But down here, you're going to see an example where the two words don't even have the same ending. They don't even visually look like they match, but they're still going to follow the rule. So let's take a look. The sentence is, milites gladios praemia belli invenerunt. So milites is the soldiers. So this is a plural subject. The soldiers. This is a little bit more complicated here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these smaller. So the soldiers, oops, trying to make this smaller. And that's our nominative. Okay, what are the soldiers doing? Way down here, invenerunt. It's a new word. That means found. That means they found. So see the nt ending? That's the they did it ending. Invenerunt. This inven means found, find. So invenerunt means they found. So the soldiers found something. Well, what did they find? We need to look for a word that's in the accusative. Because if you find something, that something is in the accusative, right? You verbed it. So gladios, swords. Now, what's our appositive? Praemia belli. Praemia belli. So I'm wondering, is praemia belli an appositive that's just giving more information about milites? Or is praemia belli more information about gladios? What do you guys think? So praemia belli. Praemia, praemium, praemi means reward, right? So praemia means the rewards. Well, and belli means of war. So are the soldiers the rewards of war, or are the swords the rewards of war? Probably the swords. Makes most sense. So let's see if this rule is being followed. Does praemia, so belli obviously is just of war, it's in the genitive. So does praemia have the same case and number as gladios? Well, gladios is accusative plural. Is praemia accusative plural? It is. Now, praemia could be nominative plural, but praemia could be accusative plural too. So praemia shows up 2 times in the chart if you did the whole chart out for that word. So it does. Yep. So the soldiers found the swords, the rewards of war. And so here's an example where gladios and praemia don't match in terms of they don't have the same, they don't visually match, but they do follow the rules. They are both accusative plural. So you could say the soldiers found the swords and just leave it at that. Or you could have said the soldiers found the rewards of war. Milites praemia belli invenerunt. You could also say milites just gladios invenerunt. But we're saying both. They found the swords, which are the rewards of war, and so we want them to have the same case and number to them. So what we are going to do next is begin our homework. And these are the first two sentences in the homework. So exercise 36 is the homework. And exercise 36, has just a handful of sentences. It's small. Take a look here. There are only 8 sentences, and we're going to do 2 of them in this video. So we're going to do a quarter of the homework in this video. It also asks you to diagram sentences 2, 3, and 7, and I will do diagramming of sentence 2, and I'm going to ask you to try 3 and 7, okay? And so in order to do that, it would be easier to show you on here, I suppose. All right, exercise 36. So the first sentence is Galli Caesari Imperatori Romanorum praemia non dederunt. All right, so Galli and Caesari. So Galli means the Gauls. So Gallus, Galli is Gaul, the person, right? Not the place. Remember, the place would be Gallia. Gallia, Gallii. That's a first declension word. But Gallus, Galli is Gaul, the person, right? A Gaul. Okay, so Galli means the Gauls. Okay. Dederunt, so gave. So it's always a good idea to sort of match and say, okay, if I think this is the subject, does it at least match the verb, right? This is a plural subject. Is this a plural verb? Yep. It's dederunt means they gave, and so it would match Gauls, right? So that's good. So this is the Gauls gave Caesari. Wait, so Galli and Caesari look like they have the same ending, but they really don't, because Gallus Galli is a second declension word, but Caesar we just saw in our new vocab. Caesar is a third declension word. I should pause here, actually. Sorry, I was a little too quick to start the homework. Let's take a look at our book. We're going to add 4 new words. 4 new vocab words. Caesar, Caesaris. So what declension does Caesar, Caesaris belong to? Belongs to the third declension, so it means Caesar, and we know it's masculine, right? Because Caesar's a man. And we know it's third declension because the genitive has is, right? Salus, salutis, that means can have a different meanings: safety, welfare, or salvation. Vox, vocis, or vox, vocis is voice. Ends in an X, so it's a feminine word. So it means the voice or the cry, or the shout. And then third, we have another verb, audivit. Audivit. He, she, or it heard. Okay. So 3 new third declension words that could show up in this next homework assignment. Okay. So now that I've given you a look at those, let's go back to our sentence. So Caesari is a third declension word, but this E isn't for plurals, right? This doesn't mean Caesars, as if there were more than one Caesar. Where do we see an E in the third declension? Okay, various, is, E. Oh, it's the third one down. Oh, this is a dative. So something's happening to Caesar or for Caesar here. So the Gauls are doing something to Caesar or for Caesar. So what are they doing? Oh, well, non dederunt. They're not giving something to Caesar in this sentence. So non dederunt means they didn't give. So let's see what it is that they didn't give to Caesar. Oh, comma, we have an appositive here. Imperatori Romanorum. So imperator is another third declension word. So this just means to the emperor. So Caesar means to Caesar, and imperatori just means to the emperor. So this, oh, and then Romanorum means of the Romans. So the emperor of the Romans is just the appositive, giving more information about Caesar. And so all through, so both of these are dative singular, so they match each other. Okay, so the Gauls didn't give what thing is in the accusative, praemia, the rewards to Caesar, to the emperor of the Romans. So here is the appositive, emperor of the Romans, just being in opposition to Caesar. So non dederunt means didn't give. And then the rewards. And the Gauls. So the Gauls didn't give the rewards to Caesar, the emperor of the Romans. That's how we can write it in English, although I did write to the emperor. We wouldn't say to the emperor again if we were doing this in English. We wouldn't say the Gauls didn't give the rewards to Caesar, to the emperor of the Romans. We wouldn't say the to again. We would just say the emperor of the Romans. But in Latin, when we write it, we are going to we're going to make sure that the word that's the appositive has the same case and number as the thing that it's giving more information about. All right? So there's the first one. That took a little while to work out, but hopefully the rest will go quickly because you understand it well with these first two. So we're going to do one more. Servus vocem Caesaris imperatoris audivit. So servus means slave, and it looks like it's nominative, so the slave is probably the subject of the sentence. Audivit is heard. So the slave heard something. So whatever it is that the slave heard must be in the accusative, right? So if you hear something, that something's in the accusative. If you see something, that something's in the accusative. If you have something, that something's in the accusative. So what's in the accusative? Vocem. So what is vox? Voci? It's the voice. So the slave heard the voice. Caesaris. So that's Caesar. And this is ending I recognize as the genitive singular. So the voice of Caesar. Imperatoris. Emperor. And it's of the emperor again. So again, this imperatoris is a one-word appositive, right? So this appositive is only one word long, just the word imperatoris. And so it's saying the slave heard the voice of Caesar, the emperor. Servus vocem Caesaris imperatoris audivit. All right. So that was 1/4 of your homework. The rest should go fairly quickly. It's very easy to see the appositives. They should be separated with commas. And then, we didn't, the last thing we have to do is we have to diagram this sentence. All right. So we're going to start with a line that we're going to write our sentence on. And typically our sentence is chunked up into 3 parts. We have a subject, a verb, and an object. Okay? So we're the subject. The subject is servus. Okay, servus. We have a verb, audivit. and the object of that verb. Heard what? Woken. Okay. Now, everything else in the sentence, we should be able to distill every sentence down to 3 parts, right? A subject, a verb, and an object. And each one should just be 1 word long, right? And everything else in the sentence is in service to one of these 3 parts, okay? So the slave heard the voice of Caesar. So under woken, we're going to put Caesaris. And then the way we show an appositive is we're going to include, or we're going to put the appositive in parentheses. So this imperatores is the appositive, and we're just going to put it in the same spot, in the same space as the word that it's in apposition to, and it's in apposition to Caesaris. And I didn't leave myself a lot of room, but we're going to just write imperatores. Servus vocem Caesaris imperatores audivit. So when we diagram a sentence, we might have to jump around in that diagram if we're going to read the sentence. But a diagrammed sentence is just kind of handy. It's a way to show the job that every word in the sentence is doing. Okay. And so see if you can diagram those other 2, and we'll have to try to carve out some time to work on diagramming a little bit more. All right. But I think the most important part is just the sentence translations. All right. Valete discipuli.